everyone, and welcome today to my kitchen. My name is Georgia and I'm going to teach you a simple method for poaching eggs. Now for some of you, poaching eggs is a very daunting task. You've heard all sorts of things about creating a water vortex, adding vinegar, adding salt, but the method I'm going to show you today does none of that. It was created by a famous London chef called Heston Blumenthal, and the most important thing that he stresses when poaching an egg is to have the freshest possible ingredient. In this case, it's an egg. Now, with an egg, there are various types of eggs that you can find in the grocery store. The bulk of the eggs that you will find will be called conventional eggs. Now, what's a conventional egg? It is laid by a hen that shares a cage, a 2 square foot cage with 3 other hens. So as a result of that, they're more prone to injury. So they're fed a daily dose of antibiotics and hormones. And that type of egg, I find, produces a very insipid flavored poached egg. So what I personally do is I look for either free range or organic. Now both of these hens are given the scope of being able to run outside and feed either on organic food in the case of an organic egg or peck at the grass. They do not have any antibiotics in them or hormones. So what it ends up happening is you have a really flavoursome tasting egg. And as the poached egg is obviously the star of the meal, whether you do a simple poached eggs on toast or an eggs benedict or even something like a poached egg in a salad, you want it to be the star, so you want it to be as flavoursome as it is. Now there are a multitude of sizes of eggs. When poaching an egg, it's really up to you what you'd like. I tend to prefer a large egg, but you can get small, medium, even jumbo size. But the eggs that I'm working with today are large. Now, the eggs that I have purchased actually aren't from a grocery store. Eggs that you get from the grocery store will frequently have a date on them, an expiration date, and it gives you about a 6-week window. They can be great eggs, don't get me wrong. What I would recommend with the eggs that you buy is obviously you're looking for the best date, and I'd keep those eggs for about 3 weeks in my fridge. These eggs I got from a farmer's market, so they don't come with an expiration date. So the other method that I would recommend for finding out if it's a fresh egg is quite simple. Now, the fresher the egg, the less you'll have a little air pocket that sits between 2 membranes within the egg. The older the egg, the greater the air pocket. And what that does is it makes it float. So an old egg will actually float in water upright like that. Whereas a fresh egg, as I'm about to show you, will lie flat. So all you do is you just take a jug of water like this and you just pop your egg in just to see how fresh. And you can actually see if I lift it up, you can see that it's lying flat. So it's a very fresh egg, and that's going to give you the best tasting egg. The other thing you'll notice when you do crack open an egg, with the egg whites there's this sort of a firm egg white, and then you have this runny part of the egg white. Now the older the egg, the more of that runny egg white you will have. And part of the problem when you're poaching an egg with sort of stale eggs is that runny egg white tends to create these little strands that float around in the water. Quite frankly, it makes quite a mess with poaching eggs. So Heston's method to remove that is actually to separate the egg white. So what you need, in this case I just got a glass bowl so you could see it, but you don't need a glass bowl. Any type of bowl will do. And I have a metal sieve. Now you don't want to use a plastic sieve. Some of us have plastic sieves because you're going to take this and put this in the water. So if you don't have a sieve, then I'd recommend a slotted spoon. You'll see me use that in a minute when I poach the eggs. Either way, you're just looking for something with holes to allow the egg whites to go through. So I'm going to take my egg here and I'm going to crack it open, and I'm just going to gently open it up, and you're going to see I'm just going to shake it a little bit, and all you're doing is trying to get that loose runny type of whites, and what you'll be left with is a very firm egg white and egg yolk. Now if you're doing more than one, which most of us do, what I do is I crack that egg, place it in there, let it sit for about a minute, and then I will transfer it to a bowl like this. Now I actually like this bowl because it's got a lovely lip and you can pour that egg right into the water. But if you don't have a lip like that, don't worry, any bowl will do. So you can line up all these eggs as you need them. The important thing is to allow that time for the separate. You can actually see these are really fresh eggs, so I'm not getting too much of this sort of liquidy, very runny egg white, but with some eggs you get a lot. So now what we're going to do is take it over to a large saucepan. You get a large saucepan of water. I like to bring it to the boil and then lower it to simmering. Now when it's brought to the boil, it sits at 100 degrees Celsius. And simmering will just take a few degrees below that, around 94 to 96 degrees Celsius. And that's what you're going to use to cook your eggs. Now for those of you who are worried about salmonella poisoning in an egg, that can cause you to have a lot of gastrointestinal problems. The nice thing to know with poaching eggs is that the minute the egg sits in that water and it is above 165 Fahrenheit, or in other words 74 degrees Celsius, the salmonella bacteria is killed in the egg. And that's really important for people, particularly people who are health compromised like seniors and youth. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to very simply poach the egg. So I'll bring you over to my stove now. Okay. So what we're going to do, we have simmering water. So as I said, it's just below the boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius. So it's about 94, 96 degrees Celsius. So you've got these little bubbles. When it boils, you have these sort of very voraciously moving air bubbles. But in this case, they're little tiny bubbles. And that's what works for these, because you do have to be quite gentle with them. So I'm going to take my egg in its raw form, and I'm going to very gently shake it. So you're just going to shake it a little bit to pop it in the water. So I'm just lowering it gently in the water, and I'm just going to roll it out. See that? Okay, so that is rolled out. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to very gently turn the egg. So my egg is ready now. I have my piece of toast on my plate ready to go. I'm just going to scoop it up gently, and I'm going to hold it here for a minute and just rock it back and forth. What you're trying to do is get all that excess water off so it doesn't make your toast really soggy. So we just take the egg now, slide it off, slides off beautifully. We have the poached egg. I'm just going to add a bit of pepper. I just want to cut into it to show you that it's lovely and oozy. See that? It's really quite beautiful. And that is a great egg. So there you have it, a beautiful poached egg. Thank you for watching.